Sahih al-Bukhari 591. Narrated Aisha. Allah's Messenger never missed 2 rakat before the far prayer and after the asr prayer openly and secretly. Sahih al-Bukhari 592. Narrated Aisha. Allah's Messenger never missed 2 rakat before the far prayer and after the asr prayer openly and secretly. Sahih al-Bukhari 593. Narrated Aisha. Whenever the Prophet come to me after the asr prayer, he always prayed 2 rakat. Sahih al-Bukhari 594. Narrated Ibn Abu Mayli. I was with Buraida on a cloudy day and he said, offer the asr prayer earlier, as the Prophet said, whoever leaves the asr prayer will have all his good deeds annulled. Sahih al-Bukhari 595. Narrated Abdullah bin Abi Qatada. My father said, one night we were traveling with the Prophet, and some people said, we wish that Allah's Messenger would take a rest along with us during the last hours of the night. He said, I am afraid that you will sleep and miss the far prayer. Bilal said, I will make you get up. So all slept and Bilal rested his back against his rahila and he too was overwhelmed by sleep and slept. The Prophet got up when the edge of the sun had risen and said, O Bilal, what about your statement? He replied, I have never slept such a sleep. The Prophet said, Allah captured your souls when he wished, and released them when he wished. O Bilal, get up and pronounce the adhan for the prayer. The Prophet performed ablution, and when the sun came up and became bright, he stood up and prayed. Sahih al-Bukhari 596. Narrated Jabir bin Abdullah. On the day of Al-Khandaq, the Battle of Trench, Umar bin al-Khattab came cursing the disbelievers of Quraysh after the sun had set and said, O Allah's Messenger, I could not offer the asr prayer till the sun had set. The Prophet said, By Allah, I, too, have not prayed. So we turned towards Budhan, and the Prophet performed ablution, and we too performed ablution and offered the asr prayer after the sun had set, and then he offered the Maghrib prayer. Sahih al-Bukhari 597. Narrated Anas. The Prophet said, if anyone forgets a prayer he should pray that prayer when he remembers it. There is no expiation except to pray the same. Then he recited, establish prayer for my, i.e. Allah's, remembrance. 20.14. Sahih al-Bukhari 598. Narrated Jabir. Umar came cursing the disbelievers of Quraysh on the day of Al-Khandaq, the Battle of Trench, and said, I could not offer the asr prayer till the sun had set. Then we went to Budhan and he offered the asr prayer after sunset, and then he offered the Maghrib prayer. Sahih al-Bukhari 599. Narrated Abu al-Minhal. My father and I went to Abi Barza al-Aslami, and my father said to him, tell us how Allah's Messenger used to offer the compulsory congregational prayers. He said, he used to pray the Zuhr prayer, which you call the first prayer, as the sun declined at noon, the asr at a time when one of us could go to his family at the farthest place in Medina while the sun was still hot. The narrator forgot what Abu Barza had said about the Maghrib prayer, and the Prophet preferred to pray the Isha late and disliked to sleep before it or talk after it. And he used to return after finishing the morning prayer at such a time when it was possible for one to recognize the person sitting by his side, and he, the Prophet, used to recite 60 to 100 ayat verses of the Quran in it. Sahih al-Bukhari 600. Narrated Qurra bin Khalid. Once he waited for Al-Hasan and he did not show up till it was about the usual time for him to start his speech. Then he came and apologized, saying, our neighbors invited us. Then he added, narrated Anas, once we waited for the Prophet till it was midnight or about midnight. He came and led the prayer, and after finishing it, he addressed us and said, all the people prayed and then slept, and you had been in prayer as long as you were waiting for it. Al-Hasan said, the people are regarded as performing good deeds as long as they are waiting for doing good deeds. Al-Hasan's statement is a portion of Anas's Hadith from the Prophet. May Allah grant us goodness and keep us on straight path.